Hello again. So, for my reflection on remote teaching, I thought it'd be very fitting to do it remotely. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was communication. Um, this year has really grown in my area of communicating with my colleagues. In the past 4 years, I would often communicate with my grade level cohort, whereas this year, as a self contained teacher who teaches second, third, and fourth, I had to navigate three different grades and three different groups of teachers and be able to bounce off ideas, meet with them remotely, meet with them in person, and constantly just be in communication. I also believe that that has greatly improved my pedagogy because I'm able to see a progression of learning from second all the way up to sixth grade. And I believe that's been so important when it comes to planning my lessons for my students. I'm able to set a high standard and then embed lots of supports to allow students to meet that rigor. So that's something that I definitely appreciate this year more than ever is being able to have the flexibility on remote Wednesdays to be able to communicate with teachers. And then the other piece is just the fact of COVID in general. I really appreciate one of the positive aspects is that the learning community has just become so much more resourceful and so much more communicative. So we're in constant communication almost daily, sending text messages. What are you working on with this? When are you going to do this next unit? And so that's something that I really appreciate this year, and that's been a really great silver lining amongst all the COVID fiasco. um, the other thing that I wanted to talk about in reference to communication this year is the fact that now I am in charge of four teaching assistants in my classroom. So in the past, I was, amongst colleagues, we would share ideas together, whereas this time I really have to communicate my vision, and I also have to communicate in a way that allows the TAs to support the students. And so that's something that I've really wanted to work towards. And I think, I know I'm still growing and I'm always going to continue to grow, but that's an area that I pride myself in being able to say, this is something that I'm currently working towards and creating a community within my classroom where the TAs and I are in constant communication and they know exactly what they need to do to help and support students. As far as the other aspect that I really appreciate about remote teaching is being able to have a lens into my students' homes. In the past, I would see students in front of me, I would get stories, about home, but this time around, I was really able to see students in their home setting with their family around them. So many times students would bring in siblings or stuffed animals or a real live animal. And so it was really nice being able to see students at home. It also gave me a different lens. For instance, I was able to see that there was a student who would do their work and come in remotely from their grandma's job, from their mom's job. So I had to keep that in mind when creating lessons, that there were many students who were doing work completely on their own. And to me, that was something that I felt really strongly about, that I needed to plan my time and my TA's time in a way that supports the students at home, especially since they are in a self-contained setting. So one of the things that I did to help with that after a lot of reflection is allowing for mini lessons and then breakout rooms with TAs to have smaller group sizes. So we would have a whole group of 8 students and then we'd break out into smaller groups of 2 and sometimes even 1. And I felt that was very important to do after every lesson. So we had a ELA mini lesson and then a breakout room, a math lesson, and a breakout room. And so one of the things that I had to do was communicate with my TAs daily on what the expectation was, what activity they were going to work on, and how to support the students. So again, some of the things that I've grown in this year is communicating. Another thing that I've grown in is being flexible and understanding Wi-Fi doesn't always work. And also communicating that to families and saying, I understand that we're all human. I understand that, families are juggling between work and daycare and their students' work. And so just really being able to be a resource to families, be in constant communication with them, articulate that it's okay. It's COVID. COVID is going on and happening right now, and life happens, that students will get to the work when they can, if they're not able to do it right in that moment, and just create an overall learning community where both families feel supported, students feel supported, my teaching assistants feel supported, and then I feel supported. Another thing that I have also grown in this year is being able to communicate and have a partnership with all of the related services. As I mentioned before, I'm in constant communication with them, but this year even more so. Really inviting them in the classroom. Mrs. Gibson, our speech pathologist, we set up a time where she could come in on Fridays and have that, whole body listening, communicating, listening and speaking, and a whole bunch of strategies within the classroom and really creating that fellowship with our entire school. This year has been such a learning curve with technology and navigating both in person and remote learning and live streaming. And so I think this year I really just learned to just take it all in and to put my best foot forward and to also know that things aren't always going to be perfect, which is really difficult to kind of swallow sometimes because we all want everything to be perfect. But I appreciate all of the support that I've been given from, Mr. Latvis and all the support that I get from all of my TAs. And I just hope that I can continue to grow, to be a leader in my school, take a leadership role within my classroom, and to also continue to support students and families to my best ability. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed my tender binder. Thank you.